From the 22 News Plus studio, this is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this edition of InFocus. I am your host, Patrick Berry. Today, we are talking all things West Springfield. I'm very lucky to be joined by the city's mayor, William Reichelt. He's across the table from me this morning. Mayor Will, wonderful to have you in here. This is our first chance really getting an opportunity to sit down together to educate me more about your fair city. Are you currently the longest serving mayor in West Springfield's history since it went to the mayoral?
I have to finish this year to be the longest serving mayor. So our first, Ed Gibson, was our longest serving mayor at 11 years.
Okay.
Because the first term was 3 years. So then there were 2-year terms after that. But when we voted to go to a city in 2000 and elected our first mayor, he had a 3-year term. So I guess to kind of figure everything out. And then they were like, 2 years is fine after that.
So I got to ask you, so why did you seek elective office? Because you were in your 20s, 28 when you were first elected mayor. Why?
During this past election season, I asked myself that a few times. But in reality, I for a long time, from even when I was younger, had wanted to run for some kind of elected office just because part of it was I enjoyed community service. My family brought me up with that. My father was on the finance committee. I used to watch town meeting. In my early 20s, I became a member of the planning board and kind of jumped around to a bunch of volunteer boards from there. And when I was in law school and I was working for the town of Agawam as one of their lawyers, I thought, eventually when I settle down, decide where I am, I may run for council or town meeting, whatever the community I end up settling in has. And it ended up working out that I moved over, started working for Westside. Mayor Sullivan, who had told me he was going to do two 2-year terms, only did 1 2-year term. And I started kind of sucking up to everyone who I thought was going to run for mayor because I wanted to keep my job as the lawyer. I really enjoyed it. And then it kind of came about. I talked to more people and they're like, well, you should probably run. Oh, really? And at the time I was like, I'm 28. I would love to run someday for office, maybe even mayor, but I'm 28.
Right, exactly.
And at the time, though, Mayor Morris had been there for, I think, 2 or 4 years. He's 3 years younger than me. So he was...
Mayor Morris is former Mayor Alex Morris from Holyoke. He's younger than you are?
Yeah, he's 3 years younger than me, which is funny. So I'm the youngest mayor in West Springfield's history.
Right.
But I've never been the youngest mayor in Massachusetts because I always had Mayor Morris. And when he left, Alex left. I think I was the youngest mayor for a month. And then I think the mayor of Gardner was elected and he's younger than me.
Oh,
so
that's so funny.
Wow.
So obviously you just ran for re-election in the fall of 2025. Is it 10 years into it? Is it what you expected?
That's a hard question, I would say, only because working for the mayor of Agawam, then working for Mayor Sullivan, kind of being around in different levels of town government for years, I guess I would say I thought I kind of knew what to expect, but it is...
You never do until you're in the...
Yeah,
right.
After 10 years, we had a pandemic, we had all kinds of stuff happen. It's not, I guess, what 10 years ago, it's not what I expected. It's better, I would say, almost in a lot of ways. We've come so far, we've done so much, and it's just working for 2 mayors. It's not what I thought I would have gotten myself into and how it panned out, but it's been really good.
And it's interesting because I asked that question, and you bring up a very good point. It's never what people think it is. Yeah. Everybody wants to come in, they want to make all these grand changes, and then you understand, I think, the minutia of the way a municipal government runs, and nothing happens you overnight, and you can attest to that. Some things take years.
In some ways, I think people at all levels of government will always, government's so slow and nothing ever gets done. And sometimes that's okay,
right? Because
it gives us an opportunity to really hash things out. And there's other times that government could move faster and do better, and that's a lot of what we've been trying to do over the past 10 years. And it comes to boring zoning stuff and regulations, but cleaning that stuff up and cutting red tape so things can move faster, but also move faster with still have public input, still hear from people to make sure that we're not just going faster just for the sake of going faster. But that is certainly, you bring up minutia. There's days where, we want to talk big picture, doing great, cool things. And I'm dealing with, employee issues because we don't get along with each other or something. And I'm like, what?
So it's funny.
And that's just part of it. That's any job, but it's like,
right.
This is not glamorous.
A couple of weeks ago, I had Westfield Mayor Mike McCabe in, and I saw that you and he got together to talk about a possible rail trail connection.
Yeah.
But again, that's in it. And Mike said, he goes, that's in its infancy. Yeah. And this could take, and being a Westfield resident, the rail trail took, oh my God, 20 something, maybe even 30 years to come to fruition. So to that end, people are like, oh, right, the rail trail's coming. Yeah. But that could be 2030, 2035 by the time that.
I'd be happy if it was 2030. That's not that far away.
Well, exactly. Yeah. But, these things sort of take time.
And it takes like that kind of collaboration, but also like having the vision and sticking to it and making sure that, even if I was to be gone in 10 years, the groundwork is in place that whoever comes in next will hopefully, there's popular support for that and it will continue on.
So looking at the last 10 years, give me one or two things that you have implemented that you're really proud of.
I would say the biggest, and I've campaigned on this, the biggest, most public thing would be the downtown and the roundabout. And I had often talked about, it's not just the roundabout, it's
the whole Elm Street reconstruction.
The businesses that came in, the landlords that are down there. I couldn't have made a lot of that happen without the Stremley family that came in and bought 95 Elm and brought Tandem Bagel and Westside Bar and Grill, or the willingness for the Majestics to stick through when there wasn't a lot there, or the same with Celery Stock, and then, Serratos, and I don't want to miss anyone, like Bellinopoli, Jerry, like they're all great people down there that have done so much. And that kind of roundabout connected all those things together, but it's everyone's willingness to like have the vision. 10 years I talked about revitalizing our downtown, making it more like Northampton, making it more like West Hartford. And again, we talk about things taking time, but 10 years later, people are like, wow. I was at breakfast the other day and I overheard, like they didn't see me standing there, and I overheard they said something about roundabouts and like, like that roundabout, I was really worried about it, but I love it. It's so great in the center of town. And they didn't say it because they didn't see me. So I was like, oh, that's great that they're just talking about it and like they see the value in it.
It's funny because roundabouts are like the darling of road reconstruction, but they work. I mean, if you ever travel anywhere outside the United States, they're everywhere. And they work. They cut down on traffic jams. They cut down on, pedestrian and vehicular accidents. It's just it's a smart design.
Yes.
But they're not smart in every location.
Yes. And if you don't know how the first time we put our roundabout in, I was down there and I watched people take U-turns and I'm like, no, it's a circle. You go in the circle. What are you doing? Or they're going the wrong way. And I'm like, we're not in Ireland. So I know they're newer for us and it takes time. And then unfortunately, East Longmeadow does us dirty with whatever they have in the center of town.
I think
all the locals are like, oh no, we learn it's great. It works great. I mean, no, it doesn't.
No, I think that's the nation's worst.
Yes, I think it's in the Guinness Book of World Records. Yeah.
Exactly. We are up on our first commercial break. We have plenty more with Mayor Will Reichelt. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of InFocus. I am your host, Patrick Berry. Across the desk from me today is West Springfield Mayor Will Reichelt. Mayor Reichelt, thank you very much for joining me. We covered a lot of ground in our first part of this conversation. I want to switch gears a little bit to budgeting. Not the minutia of what's going on in West Springfield, but some of the bigger pictures. And I think one of the things that everyone is talking about are updating the facilities of a few of the departments within the town. DPW, fire, and then police. And police, I think, is, and correct me if I'm wrong, probably the one that's moving along on a track more so than fire and DPW.
Yeah, and if those folks are listening, I want to make sure that we are working on those as well. But I would say the police is moving in the way it's moving because it's in the biggest need, and we're going to build them a new building. Versus DPW, we're going to work on the yard that we have. That'll be the location. Going to do a lot of renovations there, maybe some expansion. And then fire is going to be a lot of updating where the buildings we have are in the locations that they'll be. They just need to be updated. So police we're probably the last town that has a combined town hall police station.
Right. And times have changed. I mean, I have to imagine your PD has outgrown the space they're in. It's not modern for the world we live in nowadays. So you need a newer facility. Westfield's going through it. There are a few other towns in our area that have gone through it. Just quickly touching on DPW very briefly, there was a possible relocation to Piper Cross 5-6 years ago when the little farm stand, I forget the name of the farm stand that went out of business or retired. What happened there?
Yeah, so the folks at Western Growers had gotten a zone change to do condos. And then when we were looking for a site, we hired through the Mass Gaming Commission, we got funding to do a study for the police station. We're looking for a location. That was my biggest thing, has always been, find me a location that makes sense, right, and we'll build one. And they said, well, you have the Western Growers site and the site at Brush Hill owned by the Catholic Church. So we're like, oh, the Western, because they wanted to put the police station at where our DPW yard was.
Okay.
So
it's a shell game. You move one to here, move the other.
And we
all
there. Wanted to keep it kind of downtown in the area. So, close for the Big E, close to Riverdale, all that stuff. So we looked at, okay, we'll move the DPW yard, which needs to be updated. And it needs a larger parcel than the police station does, to Western Growers. Well, understandably, the neighbors weren't thrilled with that idea. It is super centrally located and would have been a great spot. Neighbors weren't in favor of it. So then we looked at the same kind of mentality happened at Brush Hill, less neighbors, but the folks around there didn't want the trucks going back and forth. So we went back to the drawing board and said, okay, we'll keep the DPW yard where it is. That's right on Westfield Street. That's fine. We're going to have to find a new place for the police station. So after that all happened, we put a police station siting committee together, had members from the Public Safety Commission, the council, members of the community, and they looked all throughout town and came back with the Walgreens site.
Okay.
And I'd always been adverse to taking a commercial facility because I don't want to get into the habit of taking commercial taxpayers off the tax rolls.
Right.
And then you have to relocate them as well if they're in business.
So what we've got here in front of us is I pulled up a map of the downtown core. We were looking at the Elm Street portion a few minutes ago, but hopefully you can see my cursor on this thing. So right here, what I'm working around with the cursor is the current town hall, which contains the police station. This part over here is the police garage. And then this big lot back here is the Walgreens that you're talking about on the corner of, what's that, Van Deen and Westfield Street, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So where do we stand here at the start of 2026 with West Springfield taking over that plot of land and converting it? Will you be tearing down the building?
So in the last year's budget, this current fiscal year budget, I put funding in to hire a designer, which goes through the public, the PCC acronyms. I hate acronyms and I forget them myself. The Public Construction Committee. And they have interviewed applicants. At the end of December, they interviewed applicants. And we'll be bringing on their selection in this month and getting them started with a quick and dirty feasibility study of that building, what it's capable of, and what the best use would be going forward. Like Walgreens has a full basement, the same size of the building. And the first floor of the Walgreens is the same size of our existing police station, which includes the first floor and the third floor.
Okay.
So it'd be doubling that. We want to make sure, and we couldn't build, I guess, because of regulations, we wouldn't be able to build a new basement with a new building. We have to go up.
Okay.
So we want to look at, what would the feasibility...
Is it structurally sound to add a second floor?
Or
third floor?
Or can we do it with 2 floors? How would that look?
Right.
And then if not, then what would be kind of a draft of a new one? And then by that time, we'll have more funding through the next budget process to move into the next phase, which is schematic design. They'll draw it all up. And we're going to do a lot of public listening sessions with the public, but also with our existing police staff, retired officers, to hear kind of what their concerns are, what they'd like to see. We'll do tours of other stations. I'd like to only do this once. We're going to build this, and hopefully the next 50 to 100 years, at our rate, probably it'll be the next century before we do this again.
But that's a good point. West Springfield it's probably one of the last towns with a combined town hall police station. How long has that been in place? I mean, 100 years?
Yeah. I mean, we had the original town hall.
Well, you just celebrated your 250th anniversary.
Yeah. So the town hall that used to be on the town common, where the senior center is now, that was a combined town hall police station.
Okay.
We bought this building we're in now in the 70s and just transferred it over. And again, the town's changed a lot since then. Yeah. In the 70s, the majority of the large subdivisions we have weren't there, so our population was much smaller. And like you said, things have just changed. The cities around us, we're the center of the other 5 cities. They've all grown and developed.
Exactly.
With a lot more stuff happening. And 1991 came through, and that brings with it all those challenges. So
absolutely,
we are definitely have outgrown the space, outgrown the usefulness for our officers. And, you go in the basement, like the women don't have a changing facility. We have a gym now on the 4th floor.
It's a completely different world for the employees. You go back 25, 30, 40 years ago, it was an all-male staff.
Yes.
And now you have, it's probably, I have to imagine, probably 60-40, 70-30 now, it's, or even 50-50. So it's changed a lot.
Yes. Yeah. And we want to make sure they have the facilities they need. Right. And like kind of like we're moving towards body cams. We need space for that. We need space for tasers. We need space for all the other stuff that we have that we didn't have back then. So it just makes a lot more sense. And giving them training facilities. So again, I hope to do it once, do it right. But I hope to also see the construction start before this 4-year term is out. So if not done by then. So as we move into the next 6 months, these next 6 months will be looking at what exists and if that makes sense versus rebuilding a new one. Then from there, we'll move into whichever we decide to do, whether it be build a new one or renovate. When we do this next budget in June, we'll put that money in and do schematic design from there.
Fantastic. We are up on our second commercial break. Stay with us. We've got plenty more with Mayor Will Reichelt from West Springfield.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry. This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.
Welcome back, everyone, to today's edition of In Focus. I am your host, Patrick Berry. Across the desk from me, we have the West Springfield Mayor, William Reichelt. Mayor Will, thank you for joining me. I appreciate your time. We talked about facility changes, looking down the road over the course of the next 4, 5, 10 years, DPW, police, fire departments, and some of the thoughts that had gone into where to house those in new facilities. And it sounds like you've settled on refurbing, rehabbing the DPW and fire and relocating police. Did I sum it up properly?
Yep.
Perfect. Now, probably the most important thing any resident of any town talks about is the roads.
Yes.
I got to ask you, when is Memorial going to be done? And first of all, before I ask you that, is that a city project or is that a state project? Because a lot of people look at that as, that's a city of West Springfield road. Why are these people taking so long? But I think it's a state project.
It's a state, yeah. It's a state road. It's a state route, much like Riverdale is.
Or something?
Yeah, Route 147. Yeah. And it's really overseen by DOT because they're the ones that are funding it. But we have partnered with them and pushing it forward. This is another one back to the first part of this segment where things take a long time. Right. This started with Mayor Neffinger back when they were negotiating with MGM.
Really?
Yeah. To get the funding from MGM to pay for the design costs of the avenue. So we pay for the design costs with MGM's funding and some gaming commission supplemental funding, and then got into the TIP, which is the Transportation Infrastructure Project Fund thing that the state, another acronym. I know. My schools are going to harass me because I always harass them. And then they, through the TIP, are paying the $30+ million for the project. And that includes, and part of it is we did the Morgan Sullivan Bridge, which was the complete state work before this. That ended in 21, I think. Then we started we started in 22 or 3 doing the avenue. But prior to that, Eversource was in there fixing on the gas mains. We were fixing the water lines. So so much work has happened that hasn't been like the road project.
Right.
The road project, we're going to redo Maine in the spring, and it's not going to take anywhere near as long as this project.
But the Main Street is a local project.
Yes, that's completely local. Where this is all the state. So we'll talk about red tape again. Got all the states' red tape that's involved in this. But they have told me that it won't be finished in 2026. The final completion date is in 2027, but there will be new pavement in 2026.
Well, it's interesting.
Which is the key.
This past fall, I try to avoid Memorial like the plague, right? But I had to go down there for a reason. I was surprised how far along it has come. You can kind of see there's new curbing in spaces. You can kind of see where new turn lanes will be, and I think it'll be a center lane, turn lane.
So if you're coming from Springfield to Agawam, not a lot will change. Well, a lot will change, but it's going to be 4 lanes, 2 lanes in each direction from the Route 147 Rotary to Gate 9 at the Big E.
Okay.
But there will be there'll be 2 lanes in each direction, but there will be areas to kind of like cut out and turn into Century Plaza, or to McDonald's, or wherever it's over there. And then from Gate 9 to Gate 1 of the Big E, it'll be 1 lane in each direction with a center turning lane.
Okay.
And then it'll turn back over to what's 5 lanes from Gate 1 into Agawam.
Gotcha.
So,
all right.
And you're right. You can see it now. With the new curb lines, you can really start to see that, like, they're making progress. It's not just like digging, paving, paving, being like, what? And there's new sidewalks. You see all new sidewalks everywhere too. So we're close.
I have to imagine Gene Cassidy and the folks at the Big E are like,
yes.
When is this going to get done?
Yes. They're all going to be everyone. And it will look fantastic. A lot of people, and I'll give a lot of credit to the businesses that are down there, especially like the ones that were on the roundabout like the last year.
Right.
The ones that are the Memorial businesses that are down there, like Latitude, that they're frustrated,
right? The car dealerships,
but they're very patient because they know, to your point, when this is done, it's going to be gorgeous.
Absolutely.
And it'll be a completely new entrance to the community.
Switching gears a little bit, let's go sort of north in your town. There's the intersection of Amostown and Piper. I don't even know how many deaths have happened, and sadly, how many deaths have happened at that intersection. But there's a planned change for that. Explain that to me.
So we are going to, and there was actually just an accident the other day too. It's a bad intersection in the sense that it's not like properly aligned. And this is what happened. Like Amostown's probably been there forever. They built Piper, just built it north back in the 20s.
Exactly.
Because they needed a new north-south road. Probably actually around the flood they built that. And it's not a great alignment, and it gets a lot of traffic. There's a lot of traffic that comes down Amostown on the Piper. There's obviously, if you live on Piper, or you're from town, there's a lot of traffic on Piper. So there's not a great way to pull out. This is what I get across, wherever it is. So folks, a lot of times I talked about putting a light there. I lived at the next light up at Kings Highway and Piper and North Boulevard. The lights work because they stop, and you see that you have to stop. If you blow a red and someone's coming and you T-bone them, there's probably been worse accidents at that intersection than there have been at the Amostown Piper intersection because you got people blowing through the red light.
Wow.
So what we're going to do instead, and you know how much I love roundabouts, what we're going to do instead, and they had a great design for that intersection, is a peanut roundabout. So it's essentially a peanut, but like an extended roundabout that's sort of pulled out.
Yeah, it looks like a peanut or an 8.
Yeah, it looks like a figure 8
but it's
almost.
Is it 2 roundabouts or one big one?
It's kind of one. Well, not. It's a one skinnier one. It's like longer.
Gotcha.
And actually, we have design up on our website. I'll throw a social media post soon. But there's actually a similar design down in New Haven. So right outside of Yale's stadium, there's 2 roads that, if you go on Google Maps, you can see the old alignment is much like our alignment here. And then they put a peanut in.
Okay.
And it works great. I went down and drove through it. And I was like, oh, wow, this is awesome. Because then they first showed me the peanut. I, like the public, is skeptical. I'm like, I don't know about this. Right. They're like, oh, there's one in New Haven. Go drive it. And I went and drove and I'm like, oh, this works a lot. And I just sat and watched. Like, everyone else can figure it out too. And they actually have some social media folks in their engineering department that took a lot of videos and drone the whole process too. So that's great to look up and see. But it definitely, what I love about roundabouts is that they work even when the lights go off, people aren't there, no one's enforcing it.
Right.
You still got to slow down when you go through it. Because speed is a problem in the intersection too, as well as folks stopping. But you slow down, you go through, everything just flows, and it makes folks that are driving safe, but also pedestrians and cyclists safe.
We've only got a few seconds left. Timeline on the Amostown Piper peanut.
Spring, summer
That's what we're calling
construction. Spring, summer. We're out to bid now, so spring, summer construction. Yeah, this year.
Very good. So by the 1st of 2027, it's done.
Yeah.
Very
good. Memorial will be done. Riverdale will be closing in on being done. Yeah.
Good to hear.
Mayor will be done. I don't know what people are going to say.
Mayor Will Reichelt, I can't thank you enough for giving me some of your time. I greatly appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is 22 News in Focus with Patrick Berry.